Good morning, and thank you for taking the time to join us for Vandis's webinar with our partner N-Able. Today's webinar, Joe Pittman, Data Protection Specialist, will provide an overview of the Cove Data Protection platform and then follow with a deeper dive demonstration to show you how Cove's cloud-first approach streamlines backup and disaster recovery, making data protection more efficient and cost-effective. Joining Joe today is Ryan Young, Vandis's CTO, who will assist with questions. Before we get started, I'd like to remind everyone that this webinar is being recorded. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type them in the Q&A window and we will address them as we go or at the end of the session. We also have a polling question for you today that we hope you take part in. And lastly, a quick reminder to visit our website, vandis.com/events, for a list of other upcoming events that you might be interested in. For those of you who are new to Vandis, Vandis specializes in optimizing and securing hybrid network infrastructures to achieve maximum value for our clients. With our proven process anchored by our industry knowledge, we deliver solutions and successful outcomes which cultivate strong connections and trust with our customers. For over 40 years, Vandis has delivered comprehensive strategies for secure IT infrastructures, and we have partnered with N-Able to offer our customers solutions to achieve end-to-end cyber resiliency. By attending today's webinar and demo, you should walk away with an understanding of the value of immutable backups and automated recovery testing that are available in the Cove Data Protection platform for achieving simpler and smarter data protection. And now it's my pleasure to turn it over to Joe.
Thanks, Joanne. Great to see everybody here this morning, and thank you for joining our Cove Data Protection webinar. My name is Joseph from N-Able Technologies. I'll be hosting our session here today all about data protection and our smarter disaster recovery solution, Cove. I wanted to give a big thank you over to Ryan Young for having us here this morning, and of course to Joanne for all the hard work she's done putting this event together. We really do appreciate your time. Now, before we dive into all things data protection this morning, I wanted to talk a little bit more about N-Able as a company so you guys can understand a little bit more about us and where we come from within this industry. So N-Able's actually been around for 25 years, since the year 2000. We are headquartered out of Boston, but we do maintain a global footprint of offices all over the world. We have offices in the US, in Canada, over in the UK, as well as in Asia and over in Australia. We are also a publicly traded company, so you will find us on the New York Stock Exchange under NABL. Now, as an organization, we do strive to deliver end-to-end cyber resiliency to our partners. So while our webinar today is going to be focused on backup and data protection, for clients that prefer to have a single hand to shake from a vendor perspective, we deliver a lot of other solutions that can assist with your IT operations. N-Able actually started off as an RMM company. We worked with a lot of service providers in terms of delivering tools to help them remotely monitor, maintain, and manage their IT at scale, and provide patch and vulnerability management for their critical infrastructure. As we've grown over the years, we've rounded out our tech stack by offering more and more security solutions for folks that are looking for endpoint protection, as well as a XDR and MDR platform in our partners at Adlumin, which was actually acquired and brought into the N-Able family as of November of last year. And then our last pillar here is going to be our data protection pillar. That'll be the topic we dive in today, and we're hoping to showcase you guys a smarter way to handle your backup and disaster recovery with our Cove Data Protection platform. Now, while we've built this comprehensive tool stack to offer, assistance in all different areas of your IT, we are able to provide these solutions individually for partners that just need assistance in one of these areas, and maybe Cove Data Protection is the right place for you to start. Before we hop into the meat and potatoes of Cove, I did want to talk a little bit about some of the challenges we face in today's marketplace and the challenges that we see IT professionals typically come up against when it comes to their backup and disaster recovery. Mainly, these are going to fall into one of these three main buckets. It's either their backup is giving them trouble, perhaps you have multiple backup solutions that you need to monitor and maintain, a single backup for your SaaS-based applications, another backup for your endpoints, and another for your server infrastructure. By having all three different solutions running, it decreases the efficiencies and it leads to blind spots within your backup strategy where things might not be maintained properly. Perhaps the recovery side is providing you challenges today. If you have a weaker than expected service level as it relates to your recovery point objective or your recovery time objective, you might be falling short to your business's expectations. When was your last backup? Was it last night? Was it last week? We need to have these data copies up to date and ready to go. And when the data actually needs to be recovered, we need to get that back within a timely manner to whatever infrastructure or target that you need to recover to. And then lastly, the security of your solution. When it comes to the security of your backups, do you have a solution that supports isolation? Are you able to keep your backups immutable and off your networks, safe from bad actors? As cyber threats continue to evolve and continue to develop within this landscape, we need to be prepared for anything, including the possibility of these cyber events hitting your shop sooner rather than later. So how does Cove help address all of these different areas? We know that IT professionals are looking for simple and secure backup, but at the end of the day, if you can get smarter disaster recovery to allow a better, more efficient way to restore in the event of disaster, that's where Cove Data Protection is really going to shine for your organization. It's at this point we'll jump right into the platform specifically we're here to learn about, which is Cove Data Protection and how we address all these different key areas for our partners today. So for those not familiar with Cove, Cove is a fully SaaS-based and cloud-hosted solution. We require no premise application server, nothing on-prem in order to get backups moved directly off-site to our secure private cloud storage. We are able to consolidate multiple backup solutions and deliver essentially a single pane of glass for not just your workstations and endpoints, but any physical servers, virtual machines, cloud-hosted workloads for those with virtual machines spun up in AWS, Google, or Microsoft Azure. And of course, we can plug into your SaaS-based applications, being able to back up M365, supporting the data protection of all your critical information within Exchange, OneDrive, SharePoint, and Microsoft Teams. Now, all backups we perform within Cove are direct to cloud, supporting the isolation needed to protect your critical data and provide that immutable copy safe from ransomware or malware that may try to impact your network. Now, because we don't rely on any on-premise application server or backup proxy, we're going to take an agent-based approach and deploy something directly onto each server and each workstation that needs to be backed up. On the virtual machine level, these agents would be deployed at the guest level for those VMs. Each individual agent is going to act as an independent data mover, allowing us to drive more efficient backups by leveraging better deduplication and compression with deeper visibility into the data we're looking to protect. All of the backup policies, your retention, your backup templates are all going to be architected from the SaaS-based interface within Cove so that you can have a central unified console to manage all of your data protection across the enterprise. Now, because we are a global company, we do have the ability to leverage our global private cloud data centers. With more than 30 data center facilities available in 17 different countries, we are able to keep data within region, allowing us to address specific compliance needs for our partners as well. Now, within the United States, we will support compliance with HIPAA, PCI, SOC 1 Type 2, SOC 2 Type 2. We support the NIST framework, as well as ISO 27001 compliance. Now, we do market ourselves as a cloud-first backup because we believe the most secure copy of your data will always be the copy that resides off of your network, but we understand the importance of maintaining a local backup copy on your own infrastructure or on your own storage. Now, we don't supply any proprietary appliance. There's no expensive hardware that needs to be provisioned from N-Able, but we do allow you to leverage any existing hardware that you have on site to maintain that local copy of your data. This could be a local NAS unit, a QNAP, an external hard drive, anything that you can point our Cove software towards. We can target that local container at the same time that we back up to the cloud, maintaining multiple backup copies. As we all know in the backup space, if you don't have 3 copies of your data, you might as well have none. It's always good to have that tertiary copy at your fingertips ready to go. Now, because our agent-based approach will have us working at the guest level for any of those virtual machines, we actually deliver unexpected recovery flexibility when it comes time to restore your data. So whether that's recovering directly back into ESXi, directly back into Hyper-V, or maybe you want to spin up within the cloud within Azure, we can support these direct recovery workflows by operating with that guest-based approach on the agent. We sort of round out these recovery options with the ability to do regular routine recovery testing verification on your data sets as well. This will lead me into our poll for today, and we want to hear from you guys. How often are you testing the integrity of your backups as it stands right now?
Okay, we've begun to get some responses to the question. In case you're not aware, there is a polling question on your screen. Please take part in our poll.
So, Joe, while we wait for the poll to come in, I have a question for you. I noticed that you can go from backup on any source to recovery on any source. We've seen a trend with other backup agents as customers are looking at migrating from ESX to other platforms, that they're actually doing recovery into the new hypervisor and essentially using that as their migration. Have you seen that trend at all within Cove? Is that something you can support?
Absolutely, Ryan. That's a great question. So within Cove, because we take that guest level approach, we have seen, and as actually we've assisted many of our partners with the conversion of their, virtual machine infrastructure by migrating from one platform to another. Naturally, with the large changes being brought by Broadcom and the VMware ESXi platforms, we have a lot of folks looking to pivot and move to alternate hypervisors. So a tool like Cove not only can help protect and move that data to make sure that you have all of the disaster recovery options at your fingertips, but it also acts as a vehicle for that data migration, changing over from an ESXi to a Hyper-V, or maybe going from on-prem to more of a cloud-first approach by having the majority of the infrastructure live within Azure, for example. So that's a great point that you brought up there, Ryan. We definitely do see a lot of partners leveraging this product in order to provide, that type of migrating service to get from one platform to another.
Awesome. Thanks.
Okay, Joe, I think we have our poll results in.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate everybody participating within that poll. I mean, the worst time to find out that your data is corrupted or unrecoverable is, during a disaster. So by maintaining routine recovery testing verification, you are always able to verify and know what the expected recovery time objective is, as well as being able to have peace of mind that, hey, your backups are ready to restore. So for folks that only test during real time, when you need to pull that recovery, there's always going to be a little bit of uncertainty there. If you don't test restores or you can't test them, we'll automate that process end to end to do the heavy lifting. And for the folks that are doing it just quarterly or at least annually, we can do this recovery test for you every 2 weeks on a set cadence so that you can have that peace of mind to deliver to outside auditors, to insurance providers, or any compliance officer that needs to see your backups are ready to roll. Now let's talk a little bit or let's look a little bit at the reasons why Cove is the preferred data protection and recovery solution for our partners here at N-Able. One of the big reasons why folks will explore our platform when it comes to their data protection is our efficiency at moving the data to the cloud. So within Cove, we leverage our own proprietary technology called True Delta Differencing. This allows us, every time we perform an incremental, we're going to be deduplicating and compressing data at the Delta block level to minimize the amount of data we actually have to transfer to the cloud. If you compare Cove to any image-based product that's doing an image snapshot from outside the disk for your server infrastructure, you're going to find that Cove is about 60 times more efficient than the other tools in the market. Now, I'll touch more on this True Delta efficiency and the business advantage it brings to our partners as well in a minute, but I do want to talk about some of these other points we are highlighting here as well. One of the big reasons why our Cove platform is so popular is because we deliver it as a SaaS-based service. All of the security hardening is already done on your behalf by us as the vendor. Within this application, we enforce MFA for every user or admin that needs to sign into this product. The encryption is a standard 256-bit AES encryption, both in flight and at rest. It's on by default. It cannot be disabled. The immutability is right out of the gate. We want to safeguard these copies from any potential backup threat that may be born onto your network, whether that's malware or ransomware. By having that immutable copy, you can always ensure the business has a pathway to restore and recover. And then lastly, very strict role-based access controls can be applied to each individual user, admin, or technician, always assigning them the right level of privilege from within the application itself. Now, we've talked a bit about that AI-powered recovery testing verification, but for folks looking to go a step above just testing the data, we also provide the ability to replicate data and make sure that you have a standby image for high accessibility and the shortest possible recovery time objective. This is going to be our standby image service built fully into Cove. Standby image allows us to do a hot replica of your critical server or VM and go ahead and replicate it to a co-location, to a secondary site. Maybe you want to replicate data from your on-prem server infrastructure up into your Azure AD tenant. Cove will support this replication down to every hour or as often as every 15 minutes. So you have a one-to-one copy of the exact data that's in production, ready on standby in case there's an outage or a disaster that hits on-prem on the network. Now, from a deployment and scalability perspective, we're excited to show you a brief demo here later in this webinar to really highlight how easy the solution is to configure and deploy. Ultimately, whether or not you have 5 servers or 500, we can stand up Cove Data Protection with this agent-based deployment in about 30 minutes or less. And then lastly, we make it easy to budget for backups. The annoying part about backups is considering the total cost of ownership for the business. And a lot of times there's a lot of hidden costs that aren't readily apparent with current backup vendors out here in this market. So we have a simple, predictable pricing model where we charge per server, per virtual machine, or per endpoint, and we include the cloud storage with the cost of that license as well. So there's no more capacity planning in terms of how long can I keep my data? How long or how many copies can I push to the cloud before incurring an overage cost that's outside of my backup budget? We want to make these things predictable and transparent so you can easily budget for this part of your IT infrastructure. Now, I wanted to circle back to that true delta efficiency because we make a very bold claim by saying we move 60 times less data than the competition. We always ask our partners if they don't believe us, see where the rubber meets the road, try our solution out, and have a side by side comparison with your current backup tool. With our deduplication and compression being driven by the agent itself that lives directly on the device, we do all of that on the client side, which helps drive this efficiency. Because we move such small amounts of data, there might be a change rate of 5 or 10 gigs of data between our backup sessions, but we're going to dedupe that down to single digit megs or tens of megs on the transfer. This means we're going to be moving less data, allowing you to back up faster. Faster backups means you can back up more often. The more often you back up, the more aggressive your recovery point objective becomes, the less data loss you're going to suffer in the event of an outage or a cyber attack. By transferring less data and getting it direct to our private cloud, we're consuming less storage overall. Consuming less storage allows you to reduce your costs and make sure that you don't have to worry about capacity planning within the cloud as well. Combine this with the fact that this is a fully SaaS delivered product, there's nothing for you to maintain on-prem. All you do is deploy, monitor, report on your backup jobs, and then ultimately recover when it's time to initiate those restores. Looking at all these factors, it's easy to see why all of our partners see Cove as the robust, resilient, and reliable choice for their backup and data protection. We support isolation by providing our backups on a cloud-first motion. We give you the ability to maintain immutable copies, and then we fortify those copies with additional snapshots within our private cloud as well. And then in terms of the integrity of your backups, we are always going to verify that the backups are in fact recoverable with that routine recovery testing verification that can be run bi-weekly for our partners as well. Now, hopefully this has gotten some of you thinking in terms of your current backup and DR strategy. I know this is all good talk when we talk about these advantages that we bring at a high level. And if you'll entertain me for our webinar this morning, I would love to jump directly into a demo of our platform and show you a little bit under the hood of how this tool looks, feels, and functions, so you can get an idea of how this may work for your organization as well. So this will be our Cove Data Protection interface. Right away, when we jump into the platform, you'll see that we give you very nice summaries and visibility into all the backups across the enterprise. At the top, we'll summarize all the devices, how many servers and workstations are being protected, our M365 data reports separately, the completion status of all the backups running, and lastly, have we had a backup in the last 24 or 48 hours? All of these charts can be navigated. If I want to see the backups happening in real time, I can drill into that alert and filter for just those devices down below. Or if I just care to see my M365 data, I can filter by that status and view just the domains I'm protecting down here. Now, Cove is a full, secure, multi-tenanted solution as well. So for organizations operating at scale, perhaps you have multiple facilities, sites, or office locations where infrastructure resides. We support a full secure multi-tenancy right here within the customer field so that we're able to segment devices either by geo, by country, or just by office location to keep your IT organized from a backup perspective. Drilling into just one location, I am now looking at just my North American devices, and I only see the 17 machines that pertain to this particular site. We'll give you all of the different devices by name here in the south pane, their computer name stripped from the BIOS. Is this a server or workstation that we have installed onto? The data sources we're grabbing, and then the size of the data, followed by a good health bar, your last 28 days of completed backup sessions. Same color scheme reporting as above, so it's always easy to see the health of your backups at a glance. Now, when we look at deployment and configuration, standing up Cove is incredibly streamlined and incredibly easy. you're responsible for architecting two policies before you deploy: your backup profile and your backup retention, both found here on the left-hand side. A profile is very simple. This is a template for your backup where you can control what data you're going to target and how often that backup is going to run. So in this case, we can design a 24-hour recovery point objective. We'll come in for the servers and dictate how often the data gets backed up, once a day down to hourly or every 15 minutes. Again, that true delta efficiency supports this level of RPO so that you never have to worry about data loss in the event of an outage. We'll simply configure when that backup runs based on the start time, the file locations we're going to target, and then filter and exclude any data that we don't care to capture, either by file type or by file path. After we architect this policy, we'll make sure to grab system state for anything Windows-based. That way we can support full bare metal recovery. We can also do full bare metal for the Linux side of this equation as well. And then everything else below is optional. Do you have a network share that you need us to back up and store within our cloud? Are you working with databases like Microsoft SQL or MySQL? You can configure these schedules independently. And of course, if you're still hosting Exchange or SharePoint on-prem, we can plug into those data sources, as well as backing up your hypervisor hosts from VMware and a Hyper-V perspective as well. So very simple to architect these policies you're looking to apply. From there, if you have a local target you wish to leverage as well, we can back up simultaneously to any NAS, external hard drive, or QNAP that you may have available on your network. Simply toggle on the local speed vault right next door, give us the path, or give us whack vault location for your network drive, and of course the access credentials to read into it. Your backups will always go to that local container as well as offsite to our immutable facilities. As soon as we're
So Joe, I
happy
have
with
one
our,
quick question before you jump off this page.
yes, sir.
Around the RPO, all the backup functionality. Is there differences in prices if I wanted to back up every 15 minutes versus every hour? I mean, what are we looking at in terms of cost for data storage in the cloud?
That's a great question, Ryan. So traditionally with backup vendors, the concern is, hey, if I back up every hour, what is that going to do to my data footprint that's offsite in these cloud data centers? Will that run an additional cost for the business? The fortunate part with Cove is we're so confident in our deduplication and data compression that we don't charge you for use storage within our private cloud. We're able to simply bill based on the size of your production environment or whatever data you've selected for backup. So it doesn't impact your pricing whatsoever, whether you back up once a day, once an hour, or every 15 minutes. You design that level of RPO that the business expects and don't worry about a cost associated with it. But as soon as we're happy with our policies here, all we have to do is wrap them in a retention, allowing you to maintain whatever compliance you need based on the industry you find yourself in. So we provide incredibly flexible retention policies that can be quite customized within this portal as well. So the ability to create daily backups that can hold up to a year worth of copies. We could do the last backup of the week and archive it for 52 weeks, a monthly archive for 3 years, and an annual archive for 10. All of these policies are included. They have no impact on pricing because, again, we are so confident in the deduplication and compression that underlies this product. We allow you to set whatever data retention you need from a compliance perspective and don't need to worry about the cost. So if you're within, different industries, perhaps you need to keep 7 years worth of records based on an annual backup capture. We'll go ahead and apply that configuration. Go ahead and call this our custom retention, and we can go ahead and save this down below.
So you bring up an interesting point with customer retention. So we have a lot of customers who, for compliance reasons, have to hold down 7-10 years of data.
Mhm.
And it may be in, like, let's say we'll use Veeam as an example, right? So if a customer wants to come over to Cove, do they have to maintain their Veeam archives in order to maintain that, or are we able to move the Veeam backups into Cove so that they can meet those compliance requirements?
Great question as well, Ryan, right? Because nobody wants to lose that historic data retention that they may have configured, within another solution. So we have a few different ways we can address this within our Cove platform. One of the most common ways is to simply go ahead and take those archived backups from the alternate solution that you might be using, restore them as a flat image file to some sort of storage, like an external hard drive, like a network attached storage, and then allow us to reach in and grab that data so that we can send it direct to our private cloud, house it for that immutable long-term storage without running a storage cost, making sure that you can always maintain those historical captures while you're building up a fresh retention within the Cove platform and inside the Cove cloud as well.
Wow, that's awesome.
Well, let's say we have our retention, we have our profile, we should be ready to deploy. So how easy is this to stand up for our partners? Well, we make this process incredibly streamlined. So right here from our main console, we simply add in a device. We're prompted to say, hey, is this a server or workstation? Or are we adding in 365? We'll grab a device for this example where you're responsible for applying those two main policies we just architected. What retention do you want to see on the data? What profile do you want to run? Maybe it's that hourly capture. And then lastly, what's our operating system? Is this Windows, Mac, or Linux? Now, the encryption key is going to be fully managed by the Cove software and hidden within this interface that you simply generate on demand. We do allow our partners to set their own private keys, but if you lose those keys, you're not going to be able to recover. Once we template out this installation, we can simply go right here to the next page and grab the download for our backup manager agent. Grabbing this download is going to pop up this executable right here into my downloads tab. It's not a very big file. We simply take that same executable I'm highlighting below and we run it directly on any server, any workstation, at the guest level of any virtual machine, and the entire installation will be silent. It takes us about 60 seconds to install the agent. We're going to assign that device a unique name, attach the profile, attach the retention to it, and within a 60-second window, you'll see that device appear here in your all devices dashboard where that first backup is already scheduled to run whenever the profile is set to kick off. So we can take this simple executable and leverage any software distribution tool that you have at your disposal to get this deployed en masse. We also have a single line PowerShell installer script ready to go from the N-Able head nerd team to be able to deploy this at scale to hundreds of devices, whether they be workstations or servers. Any workload that needs to be protected, we can quickly deploy to and ensure that the data begins to upload to our cloud.
So, Joe, you mentioned early in the presentation about global private data centers. Say I have an office in Germany and my data has to stay in Germany. Can I containerize just that office into Germany, or do I have to put my entire organization in Germany?
Great question, Ryan. So definitely we can support that containerization. So this is the reason we have the multi-tenancy built into this platform. Anytime you're dealing with compliances because data falls outside of the US or perhaps across a multinational footprint, you simply add a container here in the customer field, and we could call this German office. And then if we specify the device country as Germany, this allows us to go ahead and geolock that storage to the data centers we find ourselves leveraging in Germany proper. Now, in the event you select a country or you have data within a country where we do not have a data center, perhaps you have infrastructure within the country of Georgia, you're able to actually select from any of the 17 countries where we maintain data center facilities and control exactly where that data is stored for compliancy.
Awesome.
So yeah, very easy to containerize in that case. We can also support that containerization right out of the installation. That way you know exactly where this device's backup is going to live and breathe. Make sure that we keep data that's supposed to be in the US within the US, data in Canada within Canada, or anything subject to GDPR. We want to keep that data within our European cloud-based data centers. But as soon as we deploy out our agent and we have backups moving regularly, all that's left to do from this console is set up some monitoring and reporting to ensure that you are always aware of the backups that are moving off of your network and direct to our cloud. So from a reporting perspective, we make this very simple. If you'll notice here on the left-hand side, we do have a bunch of pre-configured dashboards. Maybe you don't want to see a report of all the devices. Perhaps you're only concerned with backups that are unsuccessful. Looks like there's been no backup issues within my demo lab, so nothing is filtered by failed, aborted, interrupted, or not started statuses. We can configure a report to say, hey, if there is an unsuccessful backup, let's go ahead and send the IT team a notification, ensure that they have eyes on this report so that backups can always be maintained. So we simply schedule this out right here at the bottom of our console. We add a scheduled report. We select the recipients, anybody internally using the software, any external recipients, third parties, stakeholders. Maybe you have the boss that needs to have this report in their hands as well. You can always add them in as a recipient there. What dashboard would you like to see? You can create custom reports to display exactly the data you want to see, or perhaps you want that summary of everything, or only backups that have failed. That's the only notification you care to get from the software. We simply come in and say, hey, send this report Monday through Sunday. It's important to know if there's any issues with the backup, but don't send the report if it's empty. Only send the report if there's actually a failure that you need to address. So very easy push button reporting to be able to get scheduled reports on any date, any time that you're looking to receive them. In addition to that, you are able to set up real-time notifications. So maybe you don't just want a generic email at the top of your day. You'd rather want to know exactly when a backup has failed and be able to see exactly what issue there was. So we'll set these rules based on exception, being able to monitor your servers and workstations, just your servers, just workstations. Maybe you want to report this against your M365 data. We'll give you real-time alerting if there's any failures or any errors within these backup jobs, so you can quickly troubleshoot them and get them back on track. Once we have backups reporting and alerting, the only other part of this equation we need to address is, of course, the recoverability of the data. Now, we've talked a lot about that recovery testing verification, which we'll highlight for you right here down below. So under my continuity menu, we have a few different settings. We have one-time restores, we have disaster recovery as a service, standby image, recovery testing, and recovery locations. We'll take a look at that recovery testing feature first. So again, verification of your backup data is not only for your peace of mind. A lot of instances we see is either from regulators or maybe cyber insurance providers where they don't just require that you have backups, they also require that your backups are moving off-site and do not reside on your network. And then they also require that your backups actually be tested. We'll do the heavy lifting for you and help you reduce those cyber insurance premiums by fully automating this service end to end. So here within the console, we can simply add any device to the plan, select either bi-weekly or monthly recovery testing, and then we'll support the testing of the file and folder data, the system state, and any Microsoft SQL databases as well. Looking at the devices we already have within this plan, we can see a baseline of the last 14 recoveries, same sort of green health bar showing you the restores we've performed. And then if we want to verify these restores, we can actually take a look at the in-depth screenshot and boot status of these individual workloads as well. So in this case, we can see here a screenshot of that bootable OS. We can restore this and get to the boot screen. We can see down below the system event and system log during that recovery. We'll let you know the date and time we perform this restore, and we'll even give you the recovery duration. So because we're giving you that expected recovery time, if you're wondering how long it'll take you to recover a specific workload or server, if we're doing this recovery test, you can see that expected recovery time objective outlined right here. This will be plus or minus 10 minutes, depending on the strength of your connection, or whether or not you're pulling this data directly from our private cloud, or rather from your local storage if you configured the local speed vault. Looking at some of the other recovery options we have here, we do have the ability to push full VM recoveries directly back into any hypervisor of your choosing, and of course support the cross-hypervisor restore for your data as well. So when we configure a one-time restore, we can target either a Hyper-V environment, we can target a VM recovery directly into your Azure AD tenant, or we can go right back into your ESXi host as well. All of these recovery options will first start by configuring a recovery location. A recovery location is a very simple concept. This is a one-time service installer where we simply drop off a single download here directly onto the recovery target of your choice. So whether that's to Hyper-V, Azure, ESXi, we simply download this service installer, put it directly on the host or environment we're looking to recover, and then we provide a storage location here, which is simply a file path for us to store metadata during that recovery. Once we have a location established, we can go to our one-time restore menu and go ahead and push the data that we want to recover to any date, any time. I'll go ahead and leverage Hyper-V as a quick example. So let's say we're targeting a Hyper-V environment. We'll select that in our one-time restore menu. And here's where we select that recovery location. What host machine are we going to restore to? Perhaps it's this machine here. We can see the statistics on it, that it's online, it's available, and we have the storage space to recover onto it. You'll then go ahead and select the workload you're looking to restore. So out of all your servers, you can select the workload or do many restores in parallel. We support up to 5 restores at the same time to the same host. Let's say it's just this workload at the top. We'll grab this. We'll verify the encryption key by passing through the credentials. This is right now automatically detected because I have the highest level of access within our role-based access controls. On the next pane, we'll let you do the recovery settings. Do we want to restore this VM directly into Hyper-V, or would you prefer the flat VHDX or VHD file for that recovery? 99% of the time, we're going to want to do that full image restore as a Hyper-V VM right back into that host of your choosing. You'll be able to select from any date and any time where you have a backup capture. Do you want to default to the most recent backup, or was there an event that requires you to restore the data to a previous version? Lastly, we'll have some optional settings here on the right. Do we want to go ahead and pull this data from the local? If we have this data on your network drive, Do we want to pull it over the cloud, or would you rather have this data back a little bit quicker by recovering it at land speed? Simply give us the path and the credentials. We'll go ahead and pull from that local storage instead of pulling it over the cloud. You'll
So
also
Joe,
be
just
able to.
talking about the local speed vault for a second, is that when we're doing backup to the local speed vault, is that fully encrypted as well?
Yes, sir. So fully encrypted on the local side, both in transit and at rest. We use the same security protocols on that local hardware as we will within our private cloud. Now, the data that we store offsite is going to be fortified with that immutable status. So it's always good to have that offsite copy with us, but the accessibility is there for folks that have hardware they can leverage for that local copy as well.
Awesome, thanks.
No problem. We'll also have a few additional options in terms of enabling FRS or DFSR services, as well as whether or not we want to back up that VM once the recovery is completed, meaning it'll be standing up and taking place of production. Or if you have a rather large file server, perhaps you don't want to restore 10 terabytes of data all at once. We can always elect to just restore the disk only and then recover crucial file and folder data on top of it after the fact. Last step here will be to simply size our VM. So being able to apply the cores, the RAM, enter in the switch properties or IP. You don't have to give it network properties upon restore. You can always recover that VM and bring it online later. Simply size it based on a core and RAM perspective, and you're ready to rock for this restoration. All we do is plug in an email here at the top and say who needs to be notified. When this recovery is complete, shoot a message to the CTO, to whoever's in charge of this recovery project. Make sure the services get stood up and reconnected accordingly. So very simple, very streamlined recovery flows from within our console. Again, the ability to support that one-time restore is very flexible to any recovery target of your choosing. And for folks that are looking for that next level above recovery testing and need to have things on standby or high availability, we do provide the ability to do a standby image where essentially every time we back up the data, we're going to be moving those Delta block changes to the cloud, to your local storage, but then to any secondary environment that you've provisioned so that you can have a failover ready to go for disaster. So if you have a secondary site where you can stand up either an ESXi, a Hyper-V target, we can go ahead and replicate data on an hourly basis or every 15 minutes, allowing you to keep that one-to-one copy ready to go. Or perhaps you don't have a secondary site, but you want to leverage the public cloud in terms of having failover infrastructure. We can architect these restores directly into Azure, keeping that one-to-one parallel for high availability. Now, looking forward into 2026, we have some exciting stuff on Cove's horizon. We will soon be offering disaster recovery as a service directly within our private cloud data centers. So if you don't have the public cloud available, or perhaps you're not looking to stand up within Microsoft Azure, we can always go ahead and give you that failover capability directly to our private cloud. This is on our roadmap today and should be available in Q1 2026 for all of our partners. Now, full image restoration is obviously a huge part of this product for that disaster recovery, but we also need to be flexible and reactive. What happens when you need to grab individual files and folders, grab single item, single file that needs to be restored? Cove will support that process as well as being able to do full bare metal for all your data and devices as well. In the event that we need to go ahead and recover a single item or a single file, we will simply come into our dashboard and locate the server that we want to restore data from. Perhaps it's this small server here that needs a few files back. Anytime I step on a server, we pull up a nice history tab, which is where we can highlight the efficiency of that true Delta technology. So if you see here, our backup duration, backups are taking 10 minutes or less on average, maybe the odd backup taking about 12 minutes to complete. But if we look towards the right-hand side, we can really see this process and transfer in action. So here we have the change data. Let's say there's about 2.5 gigs of new information that needs to be backed up. Our agent deduplicates and compresses this down to 50 megs by the time we send it out of the machine over the wire and direct to our private cloud. So again, we'll never slow down your production environment. We'll never be hogging up your bandwidth. We are incredibly efficient at moving this data for you. Now, to access these data copies, all we need to do is launch into the backup manager, which I've already done here within my open tab, and this will greet us with the agent page for Cove Data Protection. So all of the devices will have this local agent installed, and you can always access this device directly on that operating system, but you can access it remotely at any time from our Cove dashboard as well. Same green light, red light check as your main dashboard showing you the successful backups. And if we want to restore this data, we simply navigate to the Restore tab here in black. Now, for those wondering exactly where this data lives and breathes, we will always give you a little bit of an insight as to what data center this reports into. So right at the top of my URL, you'll see that it says US-NY. very easy to infer that this data lives within our US data center, specifically the facility we maintain in New York. Now, on the restoration, what our software is doing is it's indexing a calendar of every available recovery point. So we'll be able to highlight every single date, every single time at which you have a backup session available. So if I need to go not to yesterday's backup, but maybe last week's backup on the 7th, we select that date. We can go ahead and see the different backup times and, of course, the change rate across these data sets as well. Perhaps I need data back from last week at 12:51 p.m. Down below is my C volume, D volume, whatever is present. I'll be able to expand out that drive and really browse this data on that single file folder level. So let's say I need to come in and grab that individual item. Perhaps there's a document that's missing from an end user. We can drill into that individual documents tab, be able to select the data we want to recover, whether it's one file or many, and then control exactly where that data is restored. So restore to original location will dump it right back into Doc 0, but we can always browse the existing file system and deploy, or rather recover this data into any folder of your choosing here within the file system. Once you've selected the data you need to restore, you will have the option to skip files that haven't changed, meaning we'll only restore what's missing from your selection based on this date and time and compare it to what's in production here on the 14th. Hitting our restore option here at the very bottom, we'll go ahead and queue up this restore job for us, and the data should be moved back within seconds, and we'll even get a little notification asking us if we're okay to overwrite this existing data. Queuing up our restore job, it will give us a quick progress bar, but naturally we're moving just a handful of files. This data should be back in a matter of seconds, and here's our notification at the bottom, letting us know that this restore is completed successfully. Lastly, to highlight our flexibility on file folder restores, you do have the ability to search across all of your backup history. So if you want to search for a specific version of a file, search for that file by name, and we'll pull up every date, every time where we have a different version of that data backed up.
Hey, Joe, I have a quick question for you. So you've talked a
Yes,
lot
sir.
about the speed of backups on the incrementals. How often do you have to take a full backup?
Great question, Ryan. So because we leverage this True Delta technology, there is no chain base that connects these incrementals together. We support a full image-based restore and a full device recovery from any one of these incremental data pushes. So there's no full backup at the end of the week. There's no full backup at the end of the month. We truly do one initial upload, and then it is incremental forever from that point forward. This is what helps our partners really drive that efficiency and, again, get really aggressive with that recovery point objective when it comes to their data sets.
Awesome.
Now, just while we have a little bit of time left, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the great things that we can do for M365 as well. So as mentioned earlier within this webinar, lots of folks are using different solutions, multiple platforms to handle all of their data protection. We want to consolidate that as much as possible to drive that efficiency within your IT departments. Now, today, our SaaS-based plugins will be limited to just the M365 suite, but if you see here at the top in the middle, Google Workspace is coming to Cove, and we even have an early access preview available for partners that are in the Google suite of products today. When it comes to M365, we'll be able to back up this data quickly and easily by leveraging Microsoft's Graph API connection, establishing a cloud-to-cloud connection between our private cloud and Microsoft's data center, allowing you to back up this data several times per day on a fully automated basis. So when looking to configure this backup, we simply add in M365, plug in the domain we're looking to protect, connect to that domain using your global admin credentials, and you'll be able to select the user base, the SharePoint sites, and any Teams channels that you're looking to protect from there. Now, I don't have a new domain to add for our morning webinar, but what I will highlight is going to be one of the current domains and what that selection process looks like for our partners. Anytime we establish the connection, the first thing we'll load up is that Exchange and OneDrive user base. We'll give you all licensed users where you can back up everybody from the top down, or come in to select specific accounts or exclude specific accounts that you don't care to back up. A nice feature of our tool is some automation that's fully built in. We are able to automatically onboard new users as they get added to Exchange, as they get added to OneDrive. We're able to scoop them up automatically, so it's not a manual process for your team. Next, we'll configure your SharePoint site backups. So being able to back up these document libraries, any data within those SharePoint sites, you can grab every site from the top down or come through and manually select or deselect the sites that need to be backed up accordingly. Same automated onboarding feature is available, making sure that if new sites are spun up and created, you're never going to be missing this data backup. Last but not least, our Teams integration. What we're covering within Teams is going to be all your Teams channels, whether they be public or private. We are not going to be grabbing the individual private chats between team members. Our integration doesn't go that far. You don't need to see if they're bad mouthing the help desk. But for all data that's shared across these Teams channels, we'll be backing up the group chats, the files, and any documents that are collaborated on, being able to select the specific channels, as well as automatically adding new ones to the backup as well. Once we're fully configured with our data selection, everything from this point forward is automated. We're going to give you multiple backup sessions per day, provide a 7-year data retention, and our backup frequency is preset, but we do give you the ability to initiate manual backups at any time right here through the dropdown. So for your Exchange and for your Teams data, we're going to be running a backup every 4 hours, and we're going to disperse these backups through the morning and afternoon so that you have a healthy spread on every business day. For your OneDrive and SharePoint, we're doing up to 4 sessions per day or every 6 hours for these data sources. You'll be able to see a comprehensive history of all these backups, as well as the restores that were taking place, as well as a comprehensive audit tab. So if you have multiple technicians and users within this interface, we're going to give you the accountability across all of those users to see who exactly is doing what within this integration. You'll also have a complete user action log for the entirety of this platform as well. So any action taken within the console, whether it's related to M365 or not, will be highlighted here by user. Here we can see some of the generated executables I've performed, as well as some of the products that I've created and installers that were created during this demo. Now, one more thing to mention within our platform is, of course, the ability to get support around our solution anytime that you need it, because backup is a critical part of any IT organization's strategy. So we need to be able to support our partners anytime, day or night. Cove has excellent recovery guides, documentation, as well as support. Support is always available 24/7, 365 at no additional cost. Because we are a global company, we maintain global support centers. Support is available within the US, within the UK, Canada, as well as over in the Philippines and Australia. So wherever the sun is shining, we'll have support ready to help our partners by phone, by email, or by live chat. And of course, we can always check our troubleshooting or documentation guides for quick fixes or quick answers to any questions our partners have as well. In addition to offering this as a full proof of concept for our partners, we do provide additional training that is hosted monthly. We have a Master of Disaster Recovery webinar that's hosted by our head engineers for the Cove Data Protection platform that runs every month to allow our partners to sharpen their skills as it relates to their disaster recovery strategy, go through the exercises needed to be able to move quickly and agilely when it comes to actually initiating real-world recoveries in the event of malware, ransomware, or maybe just an outage on your network. Hopefully our session this morning has been informative, but sorry, I'll turn it back to you, Ryan.
That's all right. So Joe, we have a question in the Q&A forum, and the question is there an expected date for Google support to go into production?
For Google support, that is going into production. We're targeting Q1 or Q2 of next year. I'll double check with my engineering team to provide clarity on exactly when that's expected. Right now, we're just doing early access previews with a limited partner base to ensure that this integration is fully viable for all of our clients.
Okay. Any other questions before we wrap this up?
A reminder, you can type your question in the Q&A panel that's available on the platform.
Well, Joe, this has been awesome. I really appreciate you jumping into this. It was a great presentation. There's a lot of value in Cove, from the not having to pay for storage retention, which I know can get costly in these immutable SaaS platforms, to the ease of restoration. I guess I do have one question myself. If I'm restoring in a recovery event, do I need to have like routing or tunnels set up to push that data back down into my data center for a recovery point?
That's a great question, Ryan. So typically within, our platform, we have a small list of fully qualified domains that we ask our partners to whitelist to allow full communication from our data centers, from our SaaS-based platform, down onto your network or to your recovery targets. In most cases, no firewall configuration is required, no tunneling. We simply allow you to restore the data where you need it, when you need it, and get that back into production as quickly as possible.
Okay, awesome. So we do have another question in the chat. It says, what's the process look like for handling a migration from VMware to another hypervisor?
Yeah, great question. So in this case, when we have the data spun up within VMware and within ESXi, the first step would be to drop off those agents and of course back up that data with our guest level approach. Once we have a baseline for those backups and we have captures of both the file and folder as well as the system state for that given workload, this is going to allow us to go ahead and take that image and restore it into any target of your choosing. So the migration effort is exactly what we highlighted here. When you stand up that new recovery target, or maybe that new platform you're looking to migrate to, add a recovery location to it. Maybe you're going from ESXi over into Hyper-V. You would download your installer onto that Hyper-V target, allowing our SaaS-based interface to communicate with that host. We'd come up to our one-time restore menu, and then we'd go ahead and target those VMs that are sitting within ESXi and recover them as a virtual machine directly to any Hyper-V target of your choosing, so that you can go ahead and support that conversion and have everything fail over to that new target for you from there.
Is there any functionality today to be able to restore into like Linux-based hypervisors?
So for Linux-based hypervisors, can you give me an example of one there, Ryan?
Scale.
Yeah, so for scale hypercomputing. Yep.
Yep.
So anytime that we're working with flavors of hypervisors that do fall outside of let's say VMware, Hyper-V, or Azure, lots of folks are looking at alternatives, as we mentioned, with the changes from ESXi and Broadcom. So when it comes to restoring to these alternate hypervisors, whether it be Scale, whether it be Nutanix, or whatever other flavor, because we do these backups at the guest level, we do have the capability to restore those flat image files as a VHD, and we can give you the easy steps to take that flat image, convert it, and import it directly into any hypervisor if you're choosing. That's just one of the many advantages of Cove, is because we operate at the guest level for VMs, we're agnostic in terms of the actual hypervisors that you're looking to recover into. Now, from a direct restore perspective, it's always a little bit cleaner going into Hyper-V or into ESXi or Azure, but we are looking to develop direct restores into Scale, into Nutanix, and into a myriad of different hypervisors that we see the market pivoting to these days.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I think that is the end of our questions. Joe, thank you very much. It's really a pleasure. Joanne, I'll hand it back to you.
Well, thank you so much. And Joe, on behalf of Ryan and myself, we'd like to thank you for a fantastic presentation and demonstration of the Cove Data Protection Platform. We'd also like to thank each of you for joining today's session, and we hope you found the information insightful for achieving simpler and smarter data protection. For attending today, you will receive a link to the recording. You'll also receive a link to Vandis's interview of Brian Walsh, the data protection evangelist at N-Able, which will discuss Cove's cloud-first approach to streamlining backup disaster recovery even further. We also invite you to take advantage of a free 30-day proof of value of the Cove Data Protection Platform. And lastly, of course, please visit our website, vandis.com/events, for any other events you might be interested in. If you have any additional questions following today's session, please reach out to us at info@vandis.com. And we look forward to seeing you again another day. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you.